This is an out of ordinary video. It's just my opinions and experience through my wife's experience and news reports about charities. Are they being misused? Should the government review the way charities are assigned and operated so that fair play? Because there are some people, they donate to a charity and only 20% of their money ends up actually where it's meant to go. You know, you have all these programs, Rescue a Donkey, Cancer Saves Lives, Let's Beat Cancer. Well, does sending money to a charity beat cancer? Or is it the NHS and the patient who overcomes the illness because of the treatment, and they're looking after their own health? Also, there may be a good idea about prevention. Prevention is better than cure. So maybe some of the modern foods we could eat a bit less of and more fresh foods. But anyway, my wife has spent many years. I've known her for 12 years and she spent nearly all of them working in different charity shops. You've got RSPCA, Bernardo's, Age Concern. So she's been in a variety of different shops across different locations in Britain, because we've moved about a bit. Something that caught my eye recently was the RNLI. I received actually, it was either an advert through something to donate. And my immediate response was no, because yes, of course, it's a charity and they're volunteers and they risk their lives at sea. My son lives in Cornwall and occasionally I go and join him, and you could be in a situation in the sea where you need rescuing. So yes, for the RNLI. But what I felt objective to, and maybe it was misleading reports, but I've been hearing that they've been used. Some of them have travelled in their boats and they've been asked to come and go back and forwards along the channel to pick up immigrants. Now, I found this. Well, there's been loads of news reports, and because of that I thought, no, I'm not sending money to them, while the government is using a recognised rescue charity to fulfil its political objectives, or their lack of investment in the border force to rescue them. And there was an instance here that I read just the other day about the Coast Guard and the RNLI having an argument, and the Coast Guard phoned up the RNLI in Ramsgate and they said, we need people that need rescuing. And this was the comment made by the RNLI, who didn't go out. They said this: he says all their crew is paid to be out, that's his border force, to rescue people who are immigrants coming across on the boats. It's getting ridiculous. If there's an emergency and you've got people in the water, we will go out. But at the moment, I know by the sound of your voice that this is not an emergency. So there was a big argument because RNLI said, no, we're not going out. And they're there to rescue people genuinely. The border force are the ones who are to rescue immigrants, or however they want to deal with it. So RNLI, that is a very positive response, and I'm pleased to read that, because I'd heard about boats being sent round from the southwest all the way to Dover to help in a government operation, which I think that charities shouldn't be involved in that political aspect. Now my point is that my wife is involved in charities and she's become so frustrated that she stopped going to work, and her issue was this. She said, I don't approve of charity shops going like boutiques. I don't know if you've walked into charity shops recently, but it's like a boutique. And the prices are like more expensive than if you go to Primark. And you're thinking, well, hang on a minute, these people, they're volunteers and they get these black bin bags full of donations. They obviously clean them, steam them, hang them and price them, put them up. And often the prices of these clothes are like, dresses might be £10 or coats are £25 to £30. Sometimes the manageresses who price this stuff up will go on the eBay internet, find out what it costs there and price it at the same. So she said, I've witnessed people come in and want a pair of shoes and they say that's £25. And they said, well, I'll give you £5 or £7 for them. And the person's been so frustrated, oh, it's meant to be a charity shop, and walked out of the shop. My wife has witnessed all this going on, and what she finds is that they're pricing up all these clothes that have come for free, and they've used their volunteers that cost them nothing except a cup of tea maybe, to do all this. And then they price up things so expensive that if you can just get the bus into the next city, you can go to Primark and it's cheaper. And she thinks that that's wrong. And then she says they won't even put them in a sale and put them down to 99p or something. There are some charity shops that do 99p, a pound shops and lower prices. So that's good. But some of them don't. And what she was doing, they were then asking her, after she'd priced them and put them up at their prices, nothing had been sold for 6 weeks. So they take all the stuff off the shelves, they put them into donation bags, and they'll either send those donation bags around to another charity shop to do the same again, or it's ragged. Now a bin bag full of rags is between 50p and £1 they get for those. So they're getting people's honest donations, they're overpricing them, then they're ragging them, and then they're... So why not just rag the clothes in the first place if they're not going to offer charity shop goods at a charity shop price? So she's found that very frustrating, and she's stopped going into her charity shop voluntary job. And the point I'm making here is that the charity shops would often have frustration from the manageresses because they haven't taken enough money, because they need to take enough money to cover the discounted rent and the discounted rates. Sometimes there isn't a charge, and it hasn't covered the wages of the manageress, you see. And so there's a threat that the shop might close and the manageress will be out of a job. So there's pressure to put the prices up even more so that every garment is sold at a high rate. My point is that if that's the case, why don't they put the prices down so that single mothers and people who are short of money can buy clothes for a reasonable price? £1, 50p, £1.50, £2 or £3 for a coat, like they used to 20 odd years ago. And because charity shops are being run more like a business, and to pay people wages that are comparable to the private sector, which I think is wrong, I think that the government should reclassify charity shops. Those who have full-time wage employees or directors should be on a different charity shop rating, so that they get less discounts and less allowances from the government. So there should be 2 tiers. There should be genuine charities where there is no pay, or it's a very low rate, like, for example, someone who's a manager could get full-time pay for 2 days, and then the rest is expected to be voluntary work. And so there's no pay. And that would enable the charity shops not to have to take in so much money. So they could have a 2-tier system, one for genuine charities, which are really not paying loads of directors' salaries, and ones that are really genuine sort of low right price charities. So that's my take on charity shops. It explains, and also you see the charity shops should be considered to be rather like a part of the community. In other words, the charity shop should be a place where people in the community who have lower money, pensioners and single parents, and the people who haven't so much money, that they can get things that are fair priced, that it's meant to be for the charity. So the charity shop shouldn't just think of it making money, it should be thinking of the local community as well. So that's my take on it. I've waffled on, so I better shut up. Take care, everybody. And I'm rubbing my hands slightly, and it's meant to be the beginning of middle of spring. That's what it's meant to be in Britain. Okay, thank you. Goodbye.